So I was able to try the Trifold, the Galaxy Z Trifold, and this is exactly what I've always wanted in a smartphone. Let me explain. I've had the Z Fold 7 for almost 6 months, a little over 5 months. Foldables are currently the most interesting smartphone out there right now, in my opinion, because they give you the ability to have a larger display with you at all times. That's been my dream for years, to have my smartphone and my tablet with me at all times. But there's a problem with the Z Fold 7. It's still limited because of the size of the display. You're not getting that full tablet experience with the Z Fold 7. You're getting like a mini tablet with a weird aspect ratio with you at all times. But that's where the Z Trifold says, don't worry, I got this. Because you have a legit 10-inch tablet with you at all times if you have that phone. And after playing with it for a bit, it is honestly a marvel of engineering. The way that the screen is able to fold twice and curve just enough so that panel can just curve over and fold over those other two panels. When I was looking at it, it almost felt like I couldn't believe what was happening. It was kind of weird to look at. Now, first thoughts about this phone. Yes, the phone, when closed, is a little thick, but I didn't think it was unmanageable on a day-to-day basis. This compared to a Z Fold 7, for example, when closed, if you slap a case onto this phone, depending on the case, it's almost the same thickness with the Z Trifold. So it wasn't a huge deal for me. The main outer screen is still a 6.5-inch screen that looks and feels great. It feels like a regular smartphone when closed, which is what I like, just slightly thicker. It's 12.9 millimeters thick when closed. And that's actually, I actually looked this up. It's actually thinner. The Z Trifold is thinner when closed, 12.9 millimeters, than the Z Fold 5, which was released just 2 years ago. So if you've had previous foldables, this won't feel much different from those other ones when it comes to the thickness, which I was pleasantly surprised with. Now, don't get me wrong, this still won't play well with skinny jeans, so if you are a fan of those, you probably want to avoid this phone completely, but it's better than I thought it would be. But having the ability to just simply open up that phone and giving you that full-size tablet, I think is completely worth it. Now, there's a certain way to open and close the phone, and you might accidentally try closing it the wrong way, but Samsung does a nice job with some software implementation to tell you you're closing it the wrong way, and there's even vibrations as you continue to try to close it in the wrong direction. Now keep in mind that won't work, or that won't be warning you if the phone is turned off. So you probably just want to get used to closing and opening this phone as much as possible, and I'm sure after you do it so many times it just becomes muscle memory and it won't be such a big deal. But that's just something to keep in mind as well. Now, I will say the hinges on here feel strong and they snap open easily, much like the Z Fold 7, but the hinge isn't as friendly to keep open halfway, if that makes sense. For example, the Z Fold 7, when I open it up, I don't have to open it up completely. If I open it up halfway, the hinge holds it open there, and I can use maybe the outer display for watching content when I want to. Kind of using this folding mechanism as a kickstand so I can watch content on the outer display. But the Z Trifold didn't really play well when I was using it for doing that. I feel like the hinges on this phone either wanted it to be completely open or closed, and there wasn't any in between. And maybe that's a good thing, since the displays, the inner displays, are a little bit more delicate than a regular Z Fold, and they just want it to either be open completely or closed. Not sure, but that was just my experience. Now, when you do have it open, the thickness of this tablet, this 10-inch tablet, is really hard to explain. It's thinner than the Z Fold 7 when open, and although it does feel weird to hold something this thin for watching content, I never felt like it was overly delicate or I was gonna break it when handling the phone. It still felt pretty durable in my testing or my hands-on that I had. I never felt like I was gonna easily break this phone when handling it, if that makes sense. The display on the inside is crisp, vibrant. The creases are still there, obviously, but they're not as noticeable, in my opinion, as the previous Z Folds. You can still see it there, but after watching content, it goes away. You're not gonna notice them anymore. At least I didn't. And that large display is just perfect for multitasking. Watching content on a 10-inch display is so much better than watching content on a 8-inch display with a weird aspect ratio hands down, this is so much better at watching content. Performance-wise, it was still quick to navigate and open multiple applications. The Snapdragon 8 Elite that's inside the Z Trifold, although it's not the latest chipset that Qualcomm offers, it's still more than capable, so I'm not really worried about the performance there. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is nice to see. The Z Fold 7 has either 12 or 16 gigabytes of RAM, so you're gonna have a little bit more memory on the Z Trifold, at least to start with, for multitasking and being a power user's dream, which this phone obviously is. Battery life might be an issue though. 5,600 milliamp hours. That's just 600 milliamp hours bigger or larger than the S25 Ultra. And the display obviously is much bigger. It's going to use much more battery life. So I don't expect it to be very good. Now the Snapdragon 8 Elite does a nice job with power efficiency, so we'll have to really test the phone and see how good battery life truly is after using it on a day-to-day basis. Now when it comes to camera, you can pretty much expect the same results that you would get with the Z Fold 7 because that has pretty much the same camera hardware as the Z Fold 7, which isn't a bad thing. It's actually very good in my testing. I've been pleasantly surprised with the camera experience on the Z Fold 7. It's not the best camera hardware that Samsung offers, but the 200 megapixel main wide angle camera that's on the Z Fold 7 is excellent. And that's gonna do most of the heavy lifting with the Z Trifold as well. So expect pretty good results, especially for a foldable on the Z Trifold. Now the Z Trifold isn't released yet in the United States. I can't even buy the phone here in North America yet. If I wanted it, I would have to import it from Korea, and that would cost me even more money than it probably is selling for. So that begs the question, what is the starting price going to be for the Z Trifold when it is released? I'm hoping personally it's about $2,500, which is honestly crazy to say that a smartphone I'm hoping costs only $2,500, but the Z Fold 7 is $2,000. They're adding a larger display on this one with different technology, newer technology that obviously is going to cost more. So I'm sure the price is going to bump up. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully it's not $3,000. I would love to use this thing on a daily basis. Having a smartphone, a tablet, and even having Samsung DeX, which is almost like a desktop computer experience in your hands at all times, having all those three things with you is a dream I've always had when it comes to having a smartphone for a long time. And it finally looks with the Z Trifold that we're getting closer to that experience, hopefully. Now the price might be more expensive than buying a smartphone, a tablet, and a computer separately, but having them all in one is interesting. So hopefully the price isn't too bad. But we'll have to wait and see when this phone officially releases. But what do you guys think of the Z Trifold after seeing this video and seeing my experience? How do you guys feel? Is this a phone that you'd be interested in? Or would you rather just buy those three devices separately, have a regular smartphone, have a regular tablet, and own a computer for less than this one smartphone? Let me know with a comment down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos just like this one on tech news, reviews, and opinions, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our new videos, and I'll see you on the next one.